Check 1 2 check. Okay, shit. All right, here we go. What happened? All right, so this is day number. I don't even know what day it is. um, so working on this Magneto. I finally got done with the shading and the trim parts of the body. I still need to finish. I still need to finish the metals. So first, I'm giving them a gloss coat. We'll just make it a little bit. I feel like I'm yelling. All right, there we go. Yeah, so I'm finishing the black parts right now. I'm blacking out the metals. So after the black, I'm going to do a chrome, and then after the chrome, I'm going to do this pearlized purple. So it's going to give it like a metallic purple kind of effect. It's going to be really wicked. And then I may go in with some panel liner just so I can pick up the edges again. Give the metal a little age, but I'm happy with the shading. It looks dark. It looks super dark on camera, but in real life, it's actually just like a really dark red. I'm hoping when I do, the shots at the end with my iPhone or with a different camera, um, it will pick up the dark red, because like I said, like on camera, it looks like it's just black. It is not black in real life. Anyway, all right, let's get back into it. Oh, and I went ahead and gloss blacked and masked out the portrait. Um, so next step will be, again, just chroming this. So I'm actually gonna chrome this with the airbrush, this and the neck piece, because there's big pieces of metal. I don't really want to take the time to mask off this other stuff, so I'm just gonna brush on the chrome on his gauntlets and stuff. But I'm gonna chrome this out, and then I think I'm gonna do the red in with the spray. I'm going to do chrome and then this transparent red over the chrome, which I think will make the helmet look really, really cool. I did my spoon test before. I don't know if I still have those spoons here somewhere. Chrome red. Where's that? Nope, not that one. Nope, not that one. Oh, I know I have too many reds here. Oh, wait, there it is. Should be this purple one. Oh, wait, no, that is not it. Alright, well, this is frustrating. Hold on 1 second. It was all red, transparent, pearl. Chrome and pearl. I think I want chrome and transparent. Yeah. Yeah, so the chrome and transparent. Right there. The chrome with the transparent red is just like a nice kind of a dark red. So yeah, that's what I think I want to do with the helmet. And this on camera looks really bright, but I think whenever it's paint, well, I don't know. Now that I look at it, chrome and the pearl. I don't know. I may have changed my mind now that I look at it. Hard to visualize. How red do I want this? The camera, the webcam is not picking up the subtle kind of differences in these reds. I think I'm gonna go with Yeah, now the straight pearl red's too dark. I think I'm going to do with the chrome and the pearl red, which is a little more purpley, a little, yeah, it's a little, I don't know. They're very close. I think the chrome and the pearl is like a little bit darker and has a little bit more purple in it. Webcam is hard to see. I don't know. Maybe I just go with the bright. Yeah, I think I'm gonna go with my first instinct, chrome and the transparent red. All right. I also have, so this is what the pearl purple is gonna look like. Yeah, that's a good combo. Yeah, that's good. So that's gonna basically be the helmet kind of shade, and then wait, I know I did a chrome. Yeah, here it is, chrome with the pearl. Yeah, see that? That's gonna look awesome. So yeah, so once I chrome all the black parts, and then I hit it with that pearl purple. So for the helmet, like I said, I'm going to spray the chrome over the whole thing, and then do the helmet part in the transparent red. Then I'm gonna I've got to basically chrome out around the trim part again, and then pearl purple it. So I think that's what's going to happen. I don't need to take the mask off at that point, so I can get in there with the first with black, if gloss black, if I need to touch up the gloss black. Also, actually, that brings up a good point. Do I need to black it all out again? That's probably too much. I'll just chrome it. I'll just chrome the trim and then purple it. So anyway, that's the plan. I'm gonna see how much of this I can get done today. So let's go. I'm also not gonna do a quarter scale statue again for a while because this thing is crazy big. I'm having a hard time dealing with it. My airbrush box is not big enough to handle this. I do like this Vallejo gloss black. It's a really nice black. I need to go and reload my just regular, not, they have a matte black and they also have just a black. And I need to go and reload just the regular. I don't know why they make so many. I mean, your finishings are your finishes are usually just your varnish. So it's like I don't know why they would take the time to make a matte black, because you just black it out and then matte varnish over it anyway, right? But in the case of the gloss black, it actually does come in handy for uh, things like this, where you're using it as a base color for chrome. Because I try to not seal over the metals. I think it dulls the shine. Um, and when I do gloss over metal bits, I actually use a different varnish that takes like 4 hours to dry. So for while I'm working, I use the Vallejo, um, or is it Army? It might be Army, but I use a quick drying varnish so that I can, just kind of varnish it, keep moving. Um, and then at the very end for any high gloss spots, I use my quality varnish, and it takes a little bit to dry. I like this model a lot, but the texture in the suit catches and holds everything. So like there's a little piece of white fuzz or something, and it's stuck in this spot, and I can't seem to get it. Maybe I need a stiffer brush. Yeah, that's the ticket. Look at that, perfect. Got a couple spots. Got a very dusty office. Actually, first of the month is my dusting day. I usually go through all my cases and dust all my models. I'm going to forego that today so I can get this finished. But then after I get this finished, I can clean everything, set up a nice photo shoot. So my goal today is to get this guy finished and assembled, and then tomorrow do all the All right, I'm back. Sorry about that. My microphone battery died, so I don't know how much of that you heard and how much you didn't. I have no idea. I just been talking. This guy in. All right. Yeah. So in case you missed any, in case that none of that recorded, I'm just saying today I am focusing on the black base coating, and well, actually, I'm gonna try to finish this whole stinking guy today. I can. I have to do the portrait. That's gonna be fun. Let's get this body finished. Stop looking at it. Yeah, like I said, so I really like this model, and it's just got this really hard texture to, not hard, but it's got this like um, a really fine texture to it, and so it's just collecting everything like a little net. Got little pieces of fuzz and debris from my shop. Through and giving this a dusting, and then after that, the rest of this weekend, cleaning to do. Everybody in the house is sick, so I may have to take some long breaks to go be a nurse. Make sure everybody's eating and drinking their fluids. But yeah, that's what being a dad's all about, right? Taking care of the fam, making sure everybody's all right, and at the same time, you know, having a fun hobby so that you don't crack up, so you don't lose your shit. Gotta have an outlet. I'm really happy to be at the point in my life where I get to do stuff like this. Feeling philosophical today, so I'm just going to be chatty. Just talking to nobody anyway. Alright, that's good. You always gotta dilute your paints. Found that shit out the hard way. Very first model I did, that paint was so chunky. What I like about Vallejo paints is at least some of the colors. Red is a little tough to work with, but I think that's across the board. Reds and yellows are just a weird pigment. But blacks and the other Vallejo colors, I think they must have like some kind of flattening thing in it, something in the paint mix that kind of flattens about, because they go on really nice and they dry really smooth. Like, you really have to try hard to mess up hard to make it look bad, you know what I mean? And that's the kind of flexibility I need. Also, I gotta remember to clean these brushes better. Just paint drying them. Alcohol is great, I found, for that, so I keep a little spray bottle close by. Just astringent enough to remove the paint easily, and just give it a rinse. You're good to go. Alright, I'm going to start with these little buckles because they require the most patience. Light. That's another thing, I'm not sure if on camera all my lights are blowing stuff out, but at this point it's more about doing a good job. I'll show you the end result. You may not be able to see me doing it, but I'll certainly try to keep it on camera as much as I can. Also, without sticking my face in the camera. I feel like I'm just sticking my head in frame. Am I? Really lean over. Okay, I think it's good. I also I've learned the value of sealing your model between color change, because as you're painting, and if you get any mistakes or any overages, the seal, the varnish is like a save point. You just kind of, like a wet brush or a wet Q-tip, you can just blot out your mistake like it never happened, and you're not disturbing the layer underneath it. If anything's going to come up, it's going to be the clear coat. If the clear coat comes up, then not that big of a deal because you not really see it. But yeah, if I get black anywhere I don't want there to be black, easy enough. I think I actually may go ahead and gloss black his boots. I mean the boot soles. He's Magneto. He doesn't walk around. He can float. If I could float around, I would. I would just be default. Let me tell you something. Getting old sucks. Can't see anymore. And I'm really going to be sad when my hands get so shaky that I can't paint anymore. I know that'll probably be a thing someday. Hopefully I got a few years on that. Right now I got a steady hand, but difficult to see in low light. Matter but now you guys probably can't see it. It's getting blown out, but said, I'm doing this for me, for all of us. I want to be able to, get good enough that I can feel like I have some authority to teach people how to do this, because great hobby. I love it. One of those things that, like, I feel like my whole life has been conditioning me to do this. I was in high school when, like, 3D modeling software hit the mainstream. And it wasn't even good modeling software. It was like Corel Draw 3D. Terrible. But back in the day, it was enough to get me interested in 3D and 3D art, and just opened my eyes to the world of 3D modeling and the capability and all that jazz. Then 3D Studio Max, Maya, learned all that stuff at school. That was awesome. But I was always a science nerd, chemistry, physics. And so 3D printers came around. Of course, they were too expensive a few years ago. Now they're super cheap. They're just a couple $100. That's fantastic. But, like, understanding, like, the physics of the printing process, how the FEP and the heel forces and how all that stuff works. Having an understanding of that and being interested in it helps me, like, calibrate my machines, so I know, I can tell, if I'm over curing layers or under curing layers. And when I do have a print failure, like, it's usually support failure, because I wasn't thinking. But it also helps me, like, orient the pieces that I'm printing. Having an understanding of how and where the pull happens, where the pull comes from, gives me a little more insight into how to orient the prints. I did just notice a pretty severe black spot on his place that's not supposed to be. It's also on the underside of his calf and the back side of the model, so I don't think anybody's really even going to see it. Debating on whether or not I should worry about it. Of course, if I was doing this for a client, I would worry about it. I would want it to be perfect. But this is just for me and YouTube's. So, not too worried about it right now. Yeah, you'd have to really be looking hard. And if you're looking hard, then that means you're in my house and you're my friend. If you're in my house and you're my friend, then you shouldn't say anything. That's rude. I'm not friends with rude people. I like this. I'm using this kind of really old number 3 brush, and I like it because the end of it has, like, a little hook, and if you play it right, that little hook can get into places would be otherwise difficult, down in these little crevices that are at an angle, like the way I would normally hold the brush to get in there would be difficult, but because it's got this little hook on the end, I'm actually able to get up in there. So hard to see what angle it is, though. Angle of attack is important when you're painting. Brush. Far enough. Deep, man. Holy crap. Realize You also don't want to go into a small detail area with a super loaded brush. Increases the chances of bleed, especially if it decides to run. In retrospect, I don't think I would have. Next time, I would mix up a custom black purple with these straps instead of basically I just painted a purple and washed and did a wash over them, but the wash didn't go on evenly, so it's making the straps look a little patchy. But at the same time, they're kind of supposed to be like leathery anyway, so I think the patchiness kind of the unevenness kind of adds to it. Um, but up close it looks a little poopy. From a distance it looks great. And that's really kind of all I care about for this guy, because he's got a special spot in my room where, unless you're going to bend over and get all up in his business, you're not really going to see him from that close up. All right, 2 down. 4 to go. I will say this is a great way to spend a Saturday. Instead of running around being all crazy. I need to go run some errands later, so I'm probably going to pop off this afternoon, and then a couple hours I'll be back online to finish up, because like I said, I really hope I can get this finished today. I need to quit procrastinating. Too good at procrastination. And I'm doing it for too long, too much. It's starting to get on my nerves. So trying to regulate my time a little better. I think that by having a YouTube channel, I can kind of regulate my own mental health, because it'll force me to get in here and paint. And like, even on days that I don't want to paint, I know that if I just sit down and do it, I'm going to feel better. But it's just getting the momentum, like getting unstuck from whatever it is I'm doing. And so the 5-minute rule helps, or the 5-minute trick, I guess. Hack. I hate calling things hack. I think that sounds so hacky. But basically, just do something for 5 minutes. Give it a good effort. And after your time's up, then you can assess if, chances are, usually once you get into something, you turn your brain off, and you're in it, you're going to continue to be in it. You'll just get in the flow. But if you just say, I'm going to give it 5 minutes, and if I don't like it, I'll stop and go do something else, and that little pressure valve gets released in your brain. You're like, oh, okay, well, I can do 5 minutes. Your brain's like, I can do 5 minutes. Let's go. And then you tricked it into hours. And so, yeah, that little trick has been working for me pretty well. This week has just been crazy busy at work. I just had a lot of stuff. And sometimes at the end of the day, see, again, I'm using that as an excuse, and that should actually be the opposite. So that's what I'm going to try to get better at this year, is making myself do things that I know is good for me. Like, I'm taking a walk. I need to go do that more often. Now the weather's, for a minute I was like, oh, it's too cold. It's winter time. Okay, come on, it's Georgia. It doesn't get that cold here. It's never really winter. It might get a little brisk some days, but it doesn't get cold. And yeah, so like I said, I was just kind of using that as an excuse for a minute. Now the weather's starting to get nice. I'm seeing. Sorry. Oh God, I better not be getting sick. Um, Seeing the buds on the trees, so I know pollen is gonna start soon. But you know, it means spring is springing. Time to get back out in the world and do some stuff. And that's another thing too. Since the pandemic, I mean, pre-pandemic, really, I've always been introverted, and then working from home for myself for all those years, I've enjoyed being in my own workspace, in my own personal space for just super long. Smart enough to eat that cough. What was I saying? Oh yeah, that I've just been in my own personal, my own personal bubble for so long, and I don't think it's bad. You know, I'm not like agoraphobic shut-in or anything. I'm not like shunning people or outside life at all. Matter of fact, we just went out to a nice dinner last night. It's fantastic. I ended my week with a steak and a beer and my loved ones. It's good stuff. So it's like I always try to pay attention to mental health and mental conditions, and I try to remain objective about my where I'm at in the universe the best I can. Try to balance things out where I need to, but I also I don't know what the reason is. I just let my brain stop me from doing stuff that I want to do. I feel like that's the last thing I really need to figure out. If I can figure that out. I know when I say figure it out, I just mean like develop the character of will and the willpower to operate. Oh, I'm really glad nobody's on here because I'm just babbling. Maybe that'll be my YouTube shtick. I'll just get on here and babble about things while lo-fi plays. Actually, I kind of dig that. Dig that idea. But maybe when there are actually people to chat with, they'll just tell me to shut up. Just paint. Shut up. And for this, quickly, these little fins got some depth to them, so I'm gonna float them a little bit. Try to get the black down in there. Painting a broad surface with a small brush usually does not lead to good effects. I'm gonna have to go back over that again. I'm just moving stuff around. That second brush texture out of here. Yeah, like I said, the Vallejo the Vallejo blacks, they really flatten out nicely. I'm not too worried about it right now. It looks a little chunky when it's wet, but that will calm down. Digging these little buckle details. They look good when it's chromed. Definitely going to hit it with a little panel liner at the end to bring out these little details again. Because when it's all chrome, it's just going to look like one chunk. But the panel liner will help separate it. And there are tons of little crevices for the panel liner to go. So it's going to look hot. There's so much hair in this room. I don't know why. I know why. It's the cats. more local or more central. I'm holding this model awkwardly. Put it down. Yeah, like I said, it looks so black on camera, but in real life it's not. Did not compensate for that. Maybe there's like a color correction in these cameras I need to look into or something. But there is probably some calibration I can do. But if it annoys me that much, I will look into that. Yeah, so this is like the 14th stream, I think, of this project. Some of the streams are short. Some of the streams are only like an hour. But some of the streams are like 6 hours. So I'm interested to see what the... This is the first time I've tracked how much time I've spent on a project. And so I'm curious to see what the result is. How many hours, like actual recorded hours it is. Now, I know some of the time I was just, messing around, or the camera was on and I wasn't actually doing stuff. Most of the time I was just cleaning an airbrush. Gotta keep your airbrush clean. And that takes a couple minutes. That is an unfortunate reality of this hobby as well. Anybody that's getting into it, you're going to spend a lot of time cleaning your airbrush between colors and between finishes and stuff. You're also going to spend a lot of time applying varnish. And if you're not, you're doing it wrong. Because, like I said, the varnish is really the only way to keep mistakes from happening. I say a lot, you don't mean a lot. Now the head sculpt, when we get to the washes on the head sculpt, you have to lock those washes in. So yeah, you do have to seal between each application. And that becomes a little tedious. That was always part of the process that I was like trying to avoid before. But after my Cable and Deadpool diorama, I really, really, really am happy with his skin tone. And so I finally got that process down. And I just bit the bullet and, like I said, was sealing. Because if you don't seal between the layers, between the washes, then they kind of they reactivate. And then it just ends up being kind of muddy. You don't want that. Skin tone, do it properly, it's the layering effect of the skin tones, of the tone. It gives the unnatural, or not unnatural, the uneven, natural look to skin is those layers of color and how they affect each other and where you put them. I'm looking forward to that. Like I said, hopefully I'll be painting Magneto skin tones tonight, or this afternoon. I need to speed this up. Yeah, hopefully I'll be painting that this afternoon, or this evening, and then be done. I don't know how I'm going to do the assembly video yet. I've been thinking about that because this thing is so tall. I don't know if I can position my desk cameras back far enough to see it. Also, I don't like the color of these webcams, so I think I may just set up my tripod and set up a camera and do a separate, different recording, not stream it. Stream the work sessions, and I'll collect footage on the assembly process. That sounds reasonable. Strap needs more wash. Go ahead and do that while I'm looking at it. spot right there that I may have dabbed off the wash. I also need to reload my make a wash purchase. I love this stuff. When I first started painting these models, I was just so afraid of going dark. But now I realize that, like, after watching several other model painters, that, you know, going dark is easy. The easy part. Then you can bring it back. You can bring it back up. You know, like if I really wanted to go in here and brighten up these things, I could just hit them with purple again. A little wash of the actual base color will bring all that stuff back. So it's easy to go dark and then bring it back up. And also just remembering that, hey, you know what, this is A, it's supposed to be fun. B, it's really just for me. And C, it's just plastic and paint. Not plastic resin, but you know what I mean. Little plastic people. It's not that serious. I missed that. Tip action. Dog that up. A little overwash problem here. Yeah, nobody's gonna see it anyway. Just me. Nope. And I've got this super fine tip number 5 brush, but it's got like this weird little hair on the end of it. I need to trim it off because it's a little dangling thing that is useful sometimes, you know, if you need to drag it through a very fine detail or something like that. But otherwise, it just puts paint where you don't want it to go. So trim down that 5 brush is what I'm saying. A weird hair. Bristle. Actually, I guess these might be hairs. I'll have the goat hair one. All just nylon brushes now. Another thing too, I used to think that the quality of the brush didn't make a difference. Boy, was I wrong. Yeah, the brush is a brush. You're just spreading paint. No, you're not. You're leaving paint behind. Yes, but if you want to leave that behind with any level of accuracy, the tips of your brushes can't be frayed. You got, if you look at them under, this is what really taught me is I really started examining my brushes under magnification. You see how like far apart the bristles actually are, and then on an older brush how they just splay out like a mop. It makes sense that like on detail stuff why you would get uneven lines and paint and stuff everywhere you don't want it to be, because you're basically using a giant mop. I mean, not giant, you're basically using a tiny mop. And it's not the best thing to use. Now sometimes you just need to cover, you just need a paint mover, you know, you just need to cover a whole lot of ground. Keep those old brushes for that. That's what I use the old brushes for. Um, they're also good for cleaning. Little scrub brushes. You know, when your brushes get old, I use one to mix my paints. White Army Painter one I'm using right now. Great, it's a great paint mixer and airbrush scrubber. Cleans up the little airbrush bowl. So they're not useless, but I am more cognizant of when I need to retire a brush. So the 3, 4, and 5, and 6 are usually my main brush sizes that I use. Um, and then obviously like super small, stuff for pupils and eyeballs and that kind of thing. I'll use those for portraits, obviously. But for moving paint around on the models, 3, 4, and 5 always are my go-tos. I like the 4 in particular because it'll hold a lot of paint at the same time. Still, it's still sharp enough and small enough that it can get into places. You can kind of load it up if you need to get into like a spot that has a whole lot to paint, but it's hard to get to. The 4 is good. Right now I'm using this 3. These little buckles. Yeah. Yeah, I'm gonna hit that with a 4 or something in it. Well, the other, I guess, you know what? On second thought, since I'm going to be chroming this out, I need to second coat this. Get on with the process. Get on with the process. Tell if it's painted. When in doubt, paint it again. Like I said, you really have to try hard to keep up this Vallejo black. It just goes on so nice. It covers pretty well. Like I said, if I was doing this if I was just blacking these out and then leaving black, I would do a second coat. But this is just a base layer for the chromes. All it's really going to do is help smooth it out and give it a little bit of shine. So even with my little test spoons, those were chrome on matte on just the primer. Adding this layer of gloss black under the chrome should make it pop even more. That's what I'm trying to do. Trying to move through this too fast. I need to slow down, but at the same time, the only way to practice getting faster is to try to get faster. So that's what I'm doing. I also like this particular 3 brush because it's really springy. Like I can feel the brush push back, so I know when I'm making contact. It keeps me from pushing too hard or flooding it, or gives me an exact sort of like pressure sensitivity to where the brush is and where I'm going with it. and that's kind of nice. I also keep my pinky finger on the model while I paint. My kid was asking me about why do you put your pinky on there, and it's for muscle memory. So it just helps. It helps my brain whenever I'm like if I'm looking through my magnifying glass. It helps keep a relative like muscle memory kind of distance. My hand and my brush, because when you're looking at when you're looking through a magnifying glass or magnifying goggles or whatever, the distances you cover ground faster, so you can't trust your eyeball reaction. And keeping my pinky on while I paint helps me feel the variance, like to feel the speed that I'm moving. The end of the brush gives my brain like a relative, like a orientation point. Probably the best way to put it. And the orientation point never changes. So it just helps. Track out all those little black parts. Those little spots blacked out. Yeah, like I said, it sucks because these look black on camera, the straps, but they're actually just a really dark purple. Oh, I gotta do this part in front here. And about like trusting the springiness of your brush, because then you know what the spread is going to be. You can feel it, like, feel the how wide it's going. So it's like where your edges are. I'm driving a car, just like it becomes like an extension of you. You kind of feel where the edges are. Sorry if I'm making this weird painting. At this point, I should change over to a bigger brush. I think I will. No, that side's too pointy. Big. I have a 4 out here? Yeah. I think a 4 is probably my like all around multi-purpose sort of brush. You can, like I said, see how you can just load it up and cover a whole bunch of distance. Which is really nice. At the same time, got a really nice point on it. If I need to get around an edge or a corner or something, I don't have to like go back to a 3. I don't have to like switch. And for his like waistband that I need to black out, I don't feel like masking. I'm just gonna paint it all by hand. Unless that purple, the pearl purple, it's an airbrush color. I'm hoping it'll brush on evenly and nicely. if it doesn't want to brush on, then I'll have to go to airbrush. And if I go to airbrush, then I gotta mask it. If I mask everything, then it's not gonna get done today. Because I have to mask for his, like, all around his gauntlet, like all around his arm. I put the putty all in between, and then tape off the bigger parts. I really don't want to mask. That's why I typically just the airbrush is for like big base coats, priming, sealing, that kind of stuff. I like to use the airbrush to do the shading just because it gives a nice feather. You hear that? See what I was talking about? Pick stuff right up. Got a little bit of blood right there. I may that with a little bit of red. Let it slide. If I hadn't noticed it until now, then chances are it's not noticeable. Yeah, done. I gotta work on my patience. Whenever I'm over something, I'm just over it. And yeah, this guy has gone on long enough, so not gonna be perfect. You get a little more perfect each time. This cape is terrible. Like, I really messed up this cape. Definitely gonna do that next time. Better. I hate capes. No capes. Actually, next couple models I have planned, I am avoiding capes. I'm doing a Cyclops, and then a buddy of mine, his kid's birthday is coming up, and he wants surprise him with a One Piece statue. So I got that standing by, and I think that's going to be my projects in March. Cyclops and Luffy D or Monkey D Luffy. I don't watch it. I don't know what it is. I know of One Piece, but I don't watch it. Little too. I don't know. No, just not my style, I should say. Can't judge. It's not my style. Anyway. Oh, I gotta chop this black just a little bit more before we move on. Can't tell if that bird song is coming from the music or it's coming from actual outside. I think it's actual outside. My window's open. That's why it's cold in here. There we go. Crack it. All right. Let's give these just a little bit more solid footing here. It's nice outside. One thing I don't like about this number 4, or actually anything above that 3, is that the brush gets so long and big that it flexes, and it's hard to, you don't really feel it as much, or as easily, I should say. While I'm doing this, nobody's even going to see it. Total waste of time. Alright, there we go. That's good, that's good, that's good. Let's get this belt thing painted. And yeah, it would be easier to mask it off and then airbrush it. But I'm not really feeling like masking stuff off today. Unless the chrome and the black, I don't mind as far as like they'll I know they'll level out, you know. But if the purple doesn't want to go on nice and smooth with a brush, then I will have to end up going back and airbrushing. Or what I may do is like hand paint around the trim and then airbrush above it. I can keep the overspray off everything. I may do a light mask. Just for me, it's much faster to paint this part by hand, because nobody's going to see it. I was like always preference it by what's going to be seen and what's not going to be seen. But it's a good way to prioritize. That way I know I don't have to go all the way up against that, you know, purple surface. Because if there is any bleed, you're only going to see it if I make a mistake. But if I don't ever go up to that line, then there's no chance of making a mistake. And then you're never going to see it. It's on his underside. If my head's in frame or not. Sorry if it is. Dust this belt before I paint it. And this bottom trim. Yeah, I'm just gonna take my big paintbrush and just brush over this guy. Should be pretty easy. I'll do it again with the chrome, and then again with the purple. I'm gonna leave the buckles all chrome though. I'm not gonna purple the buckles. To break it up a little bit. Yeah, it's got all these little fins and stuff, so as long as I keep the paint moving in the right direction, it should go on pretty fast. Smooth. There's going to be so many layers to it. I don't think but I definitely want the metal bits Nice and smooth. It looks like the gauntlets are a little different story because they've got some weathering, like they've got some little marks and stuff that I'm going to go in and hit with some silver just to give him a little bit of battle damage, a little bit of weathering. But his belt and his neck piece, those look to be pretty pristine. I don't want the metal to be nice and smooth. Can't find this line. There it is. Oh, I'm running out of paint. That's why. My angle is wrong. Finding your starting paint line is sometimes difficult. Sorry, I'm choking up on it. I know. Trying to get these little nooks and crannies and not mess up. It's hard to see that where the tip is with the black on black. Alright, that part's done. Hang this guy because I'm not going to be able to set it down. Chill out there for a minute, bud. Oh, I want to do the boots. Let me do the boots first. And if you're into this hobby and you can afford it, afford the funds to splurge on fun things, highly recommend a little paint shaker. It's actually like it's like a test tube agitator, thing. But highly recommend picking up one of those because it beats the shit out of having a handshake paint, and that never works anyway. So yeah, having a little paint shaker, paint stirrer, has really made a difference. Highly recommend it. Right, let me paint his boot trim before we go forward. Oh my god, these little white flecks of stuff. Where is that coming from? Now, these little stiff brushes will get it out. Man, it's like a bad penny. Keeps on turning up. Man, that's a really old saying. I don't even know why I said that. Three. Maybe I had a little too much water. Viscosity. Yeah, all right. I like to start in the back. It's like a warm up. I don't know if I want to do this whole heel part black. I don't think so. I think that'd be too much. I'm just gonna do the boot part black. I like how this like purple leather kind of look turned out. I don't know if you guys can see that. The purpley leather bits turned out pretty nice. Had a nice like a kind of a dark weather to them. Try and enjoy. Edge is done. Let's go around the big stuff. Glossy sole boots. Like I said, they're pristine. He doesn't touch the ground. He's above that. Magneto. Magneto, bitch. Float. I just realized something. When I was a kid, I was always envious of the old dudes at the model shop, model store. I would hang out there. They would have little slot car races and RC track. They had an RC track on the side of the building, and so people would be always out there with their, electric cars and little model, hobby model stuff. And anyway, I was always envious of the old dudes and their hobby, and even just the dudes that just painted battleships. They just painted models, army models usually. That was really all we had back then. Were like car models and like model planes, model cars. Back in the day, there weren't a whole lot of like, none to my knowledge. I mean, a model kit that was a character like like these statues that I get to make now. And I was always so envious of those dudes. But I understand it now. It's like you have to get to the point where you've got expendable time and expendable money to do this, because it is not cheap and it is not fast. Do it properly. Also, that's kind of the enjoyment of it, right? I mean, it's like if I could do it fast, it probably wouldn't be any fun, or it wouldn't be as shouldn't. I'm sorry, that's the wrong word. It wouldn't be as rewarding. I'm going to use a big brush on this guy. Yeah, it just wouldn't be as rewarding if it was over too quickly. It can be said about a lot of things in life. Um, and so yeah, I get it now. Now that I'm the old guy with the old hobby. I just hope that there are still young people out there interested in doing this kind of stuff, because that's one thing that kind of scares me about this whole hyper capitalism dystopian society that's being built right now, or that we're living through right now, that we're building right now. I should say it's going to get worse, but I just don't think there's going to be the same appreciation for like people doing creative things. That's why I'm very happy that my kid is leaning towards a field in the getting a career in the creative field, creative industry, because yeah, I just, number one, all people care about in dystopia is being entertained. So having a job in the entertainment field makes a lot of sense. Just lean into the apocalypse, you know what I'm saying? And number two, generationally, like, we gotta have creative people doing creative things, or it's all just gonna go by the wayside. It's just gonna, like, cursive writing and like reading analog clocks. Like, what's going on out there? I understand not every. I mean, it's not like I don't know, a detrimental to not know these things, but as a society, it kind of is. I mean, you're basically like voluntarily giving up skills and abilities that, you know, other human beings cultivated to the point that we taught it, you know. They taught cursive for generations, and now all of a sudden we're just not anymore. Like, it's just weird to me. And now they're saying that, like, with you know, kids aren't, they're not teaching vocabulary and teaching kids to spell anymore because we got autocorrect and everybody's just typing things into a machine now, and the machine's correcting, you know, spelling. And well, I mean, that's great for a fallback, but you still need to know how to spell. What are you doing? You know, I don't know. I just feel like it's gonna get bad out there, and that's why I like to stay inside and paint dudes, paint things. I keep dragging that. I gotta be careful. Boot is super wet. Hope I didn't mess that up. Yeah, so that's why I'm, you know, I learned a I learned a really good phrase the other day. Apocalyptimist, and it's like an apocalyptimist. We know it's all going to shit out there. The world, society, all of it. But somehow we think it's going to be okay. Probably because we've accepted death and we're okay with it. But I think apocalyptimist is a really good describer for me. That's what I'm gonna be labeled. It all sucks, but whatever. I guess it's gonna be okay. Oh, I did it again. I need to hit that with a hairdryer or a heat gun. A little high, but be careful where I put my pinky. Hard time catching that edge on that boot for some reason. Easier and keep that other side up high. Loaded brush, Jesus. Oh yeah, I should probably apologize in advance for cussing. If anyone's out there, you know, offended by me saying Jesus Christ. Sorry. I mean, I am. I gotta remember that. Like, everyone's being so sensitive about things out there now. They're not taken into consideration. It's like, you know, yeah, you may be offended with it, but or by something, but also there's probably a billion people who aren't. You know, just mind your business. You can be offended. You don't have to tell me. I'm not going to change my opinion. I've changed who I am. I'm not going to reset everything just because I hurt your little feelings. Very Gen X thing, I know. Oh yes, I might drop the occasional Jesus Christ or God damn it or fuck by on the not for children section of YouTube. We're all adults. We're just hanging out, having a good time, painting a Magneto. This black, I'm definitely gonna have to go at least on the sides. Go back and touch it up because it's a little bit more runny than I like, a little bit more thin than I normally enjoy. So go back and touch all that up again. Let me get my paint roller. I need to place my square brushes there. They're on their last legs. All the dabbing. It will just show up like a dry spot. And I know for texture purposes, this should probably be like a matte black. But hey, I feel like switching blacks. B. I think it looks kind of cool in this particular case. Nice new shiny boots. Thick. But once it flattens out, you're not going to see it. All right. Start painting out this guy. Well, I got all this paint out and this big brush. Let's go. Oh no. right off. It never even happened. I want to rub it because it'll rub the paint off. Rub the wash layer off. Oh my goodness. Alright, I think I'm going to hit this fire. Tracking stuff everywhere. This, hopefully. There was a little bit of a misprint in this belt, but I think once it's all chromed and colored in, you're not going to see it. Or at least you'd have to work really hard again to be able to see it. Not going for perfection here. You keep overshooting that edge for some. So yeah, so you take a wet brush. And take a wet brush to kind of saturate the area, and then you take a dry brush to soak up the moisture. And it's like a little eraser button, a little eraser process, which is kind of nice. All right, let's not overshoot this again. Yeah, so I was saying these square brushes start to fan out. You can really see it in this brush, but I keep overshooting that edge because of the flare on the ends of these brushes, on the end of this brush. I do need to be extra careful, which is stupid, but correct solution is to replace this brush. Go around the edge first and we'll come back for all that. Oh, I'm sorry. All right, let's let that gloss black dry, and then when I come back, start the chrome. All right, so I changed the plans. I got to go run an errand. I will pick this back up later this afternoon.